these are the parameters of the project, so you know you don't have to invent to the degree that you do with other projects, or is it kind of like riding with an elephant on your back because you have to stay within the box that somebody else has made for you?
Well, to be honest, I love it. I've really, from the very, very beginning, I think, I kind of came into 39 Clues thinking I was going to like it less because it was sort of a little bit less mine. I think I loved it more for that reason. It sort of felt like, um, it was like something that you did not have a total commitment to. You did your thing, and when it was done, you could sort of step back and see what everybody else did with what you gave them. Plus, I think, I followed Rick Riordan when I wrote the original second book, and I
Wow,
think
big
that
shoes to follow.
it's big shoes to follow, but it's also because he started it off. I was starting in a place that my imagination would have not gotten me on its own, and I think that that's a really nice exercise for a writer to actually take on a starting point that you yourself would not have chosen.
Oh, so in a way, it's kind of like a baton has been passed, and these are the lanes, and now,
Yeah.
sprint ahead. You get that creative latitude to have at it. Your style and Rick's are, a little different in the way. I mean, your books are notorious for being hysterical in that way, and Rick's are kind of that action adventure. Was there a collision of styles, or does it just sort of work itself out?
Well, I think in 39 Clues, beyond the big things, you can't have characters with, black hair in one book and red hair in the next.
Yeah.
Um, I think they really gave us a lot of latitude and freedom to discover the characters our own way. Admittedly, I never really tried to go off the rails. I don't think anyone has in the series, but I have been extremely gratified by how much they really let us be our own writers with 39 Clues books.
Wow, that's great. And I mean, and the fan support is you have some kids that are very serious fans about that. So
It's been really, really cool.
do you have parameters around like know thyself that you're kind of you stay in these sort of zones in a bit that you're not doing these dark dystopian tales and you haven't ventured off into the vampire versus werewolf realm, like is that something that you're just like not my thing, or how do you see your own work?
Well, I wouldn't restrict what I do if the right idea came along. But at the same time, I wouldn't attempt something I didn't think I could do a good job at. On the other hand, I have, as I'm sure you have, always had a good experience whenever someone really forced me to write outside my comfort zone. And in fact, I fear too much writing inside my comfort zone. For example, I mean, I'm clearly not a fantasy guy, right? But when I got the idea to do The Hypnotist,
Right.
I jumped at it, and it is, I mean, I guess I was kind of surprised when I saw the Library of Congress data and it said paranormal. I'm like, paranormal? Making out in this book? But it is. I mean, the kind of hypnotism I was writing about was a paranormal ability. But, you mentioned what ifs, and I know some English teachers are sort of like, well, I'm kind of sick of the endless string of what if, Napoleon had a B-52 at the Battle of Waterloo.
Right.
But I really believe that, the core of my creative process is just asking myself these questions. What if suddenly a kid woke up and he could make anybody do anything he wanted them to just by looking in their eyes? What kid wouldn't be like, this is awesome? You don't like broccoli? No problem. You hypnotize your mom and get broccoli off the menu. Fail a test? No problem. You hypnotize your teacher and get her to raise your grade. Obviously, in reality, power tends to be more complicated than that, and hypnotism, even in the books, is has a lot of caveats and complications. But those what ifs are really what propel a lot of what I do.
And I can almost see the set pieces that you spoke of a little bit ago right there, where first he's drunk on power and the world is great, and then up the power turns out that power's good, absolute power corrupts. He gets into a jam, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Lesson, and there we go. Gordon, I want to just say thank you very, very much for sort of, chiming in with us today. We are going to steer everybody who's ever watched, tuned into the internet at all, go to Gordon's website now. He's got awesome stuff, great stuff. I couldn't be a bigger fan of the work of Gordon Korman. You can check out all his information right here on the screen. You'll see it prominently displayed. We would hope that you also take a moment to maybe like us on Facebook, check us out on YouTube, spread the word, let us know. Visit Gordon. He tweets. I tweet. Who doesn't tweet? We got all the social media things working. Once again, Gordon, welcome. Thank you. Appreciate your efforts so much today.
Thanks so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.